some days these events just feel phenomenal. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to set a world record. Some days my deadlift is shooting off the ground like a rocket speed. I'm like, I've never done that. Other days I'm like, have I ever deadlifted at all?
Hey guys, welcome to Talking Strongman. As you can see, we are joined by Martins Licis, former world's strongest man, winner of the Arnolds, we've won pretty much everything there is to win now, buddy.
I definitely have checked off the things I really wanted to check off in my strongman.
But you're coming back because you want more.
I definitely want more. Yeah. I took it after the previous Rogue that I did. That was 2022. My body was just hurting. Like every single event, I would walk off and just lay on the ground in excruciating pain because my hips were just seizing up, my shoulder was just messed up. In that competition, I thought I was finished. That I probably have to start really thinking about what's next because I don't know if I could continue competing in that state. I mean, maybe I could, but I wouldn't be able to push my strength further. And for me, competing is always to see how strong I could get my body, to see what I can do. So I took the year off, did Strength Unknown, which I fell in love with doing, and that became a huge passion of mine. And as I was doing it, I was also taking upon jiu-jitsu, and then just, I suppose, I don't know, maybe between physical therapy and also moving in new ways that I cannot replicate in the gym through jiu-jitsu, my hips started feeling significantly better. My shoulders started feeling better. Changed my training approach to something I'd never done before, which is I would only allow myself to lift heavy once a month, and then everything else was just skill-oriented. And then lo and behold, I'm feeling the best I have in 2018. I still can't recover like I used to, but at least my body's feeling good and strong enough that I really believe maybe if I am just patient, I can push to new strength levels I've never achieved before. And that's so what has me coming back.
It's so interesting talking to like yourself. I've been talking to Thor, Kilishkovsky, was talking to Luke Stoltman. You're all experienced athletes that you've had to adapt the way you train as you get older. And it's something that we really have to do. I remember when I was in my early 20s, it was great. I could get in, smash training, get out, and I felt great. I'd walk in, not need a warm-up. And then as you get older, you do have to become a bit smarter. But you've always been pretty good with all the rehab and prehab work. But even you have suffered some majorly serious, injuries, and it just shows how brutal this sport is.
It is a brutal sport. And I think through, like, especially the end of my 20s, I was like redlining my body.
Yeah.
Just as much rehab as I was doing double the damage in training. I think 2018, I was deadlifting a few months out of the year 4 times a week because I really wanted to catch up with everyone. I didn't feel like I was statically up to par with the same, the competitors at my level. So I wanted to catch up. So I was deadlifting like 4 times a week. Some days would be speed, some days would be overload where I'd do eccentrics or rack pulls. Another day would just be medium weight, just practicing. Another day would be isometrics, just trying to attack in every single angle. And it worked because that was 2018. I was able to deadlift regularly in sessions, 900 pounds and for repetitions. But it also caught up with me because right after then, that's when I started really hurting.
I think when we push that hard, it's always going to catch up with us.
Absolutely.
But I guess that's the risk, people, I don't know how you feel, but I see people talking about, longevity in sport or longevity in lifting. But I feel when you want to be the absolute best, you are going to put your body on the line. You can't do it safely at that redlined position, when you're trying to become the world's strongest man, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good to hear you're feeling good. Obviously, you mentioned Strength Unknown. That has been, for people that haven't seen that, tell them why they need to go and watch it, because I've not seen every single episode, I'll be honest, but I've seen a few of them and they're brilliant. What you and Romark do, not just what you're doing in terms of the strength side of it, but the production as well is incredible. Really enjoyable. I know Liz loves watching them. Tell people about those and how much fun you've had doing that.
That's been a treasure. Especially, I hope you've watched more of the recent ones in Japan, China.
They were just like brilliant.
That's great.
You doing the sumo?
Yes. Oh, that makes me happy. Good, because I'm really proud of, especially recently, ever since the Basque Country, Spain, we started getting a rhythm. We started figuring out what we want to do with it, and I'm really proud of those episodes. Um, all what we're trying to do is trying to shine a light on obscure feats of strength or obscure stories or a side of the aspect of strength in certain sports that people wouldn't normally think about. And I just don't feel like there's been anything out there like that. I before embarking on this journey, I didn't know that Japan was one of the ancient powerhouses of stone lifting. I mean, that all kind of has been uncovering as we've been taking this journey on, and we're discovering more and more that we are so excited to get back out there to explore. So you guys,
Have you got lots more planned?
we do have lots more planned. Unfortunately, while I'm competing, it's like nearly impossible to do it. But we're making plans for right after World's Strongest Man to get out and shoot some more.
From the kind of places you've been to, what's been the most impressive thing for you to witness and see?
I would say impressive wise, the Basque stone lifters, and I really do hope you watch those
the
episodes.
stones they lift are just like 200 odd kilos, more than that. It's like 300 kilos, I think.
Yeah, over 320 kilos.
Wow.
For the rectangular stone. And you know, let's argue like, oh, it's just leverage. And sure, I went out there and tried it. I'm one of the strongest stone lifters on the planet, and it was difficult for me to get 550 pounds. I mean, maybe with some months of training, I could get heavier. But I did 550.
It's still massive weight, isn't it?
I've done over 700 pounds.
That's insane.
They are truly, I think, the best stone lifters in the world. And as I was doing Atlas stones, they were kind of giggling like, "Oh, you are so brutally strong, but your technique sucks." I'm like, my technique sucks.
A man that prides himself on stone lifting.
And apparently, yeah, there are so many little tricks I have not been incorporating. For example, when we do stone lifting, we tend to lift up an arm and kind of roll the stone with the arm up like this. What happens then, notice how my shoulder kind of raises. So then the stone has a farther distance to travel. What they preach is to come up here, put both hands under. Notice how my shoulder drops. And then with both hands, you push it over and it just rolls into position much easier. A little harder to stabilize, but way less strength is required. And I've been incorporating that, which I learned from them. And lo and behold, like shouldering stones is much easier now because of that little adjustment.
It's amazing. So you're taking some of what you've learned there. Actually, you know, you've got a competition coming up where you've got to shoulder a stone. Have you found it's helped?
I've definitely found it's helped. With the tombstone, however, they argue that I need to try their techniques, which is to kind of shimmy it up, have both hands under, and then kind of jerk it up. But the tombstone, I argue with them that they don't understand the shape of it. So I want to get a Basque person to come out and try that Oudhauken tombstone to shoulder, because that is a beast. It's too smooth and oddly shaped to really bear hug. And even grabbing it laterally, it's difficult to balance. So I don't know how much of their techniques I could use on that particular stone.
Sure. No, I think well, you've got experience obviously with the Arnold stones. Let's talk about the Arnolds, because that is the big goal, I guess, the next big goal anyway. Big returns, obviously yourself and Hafthor Bjornsson, two huge names of the sport, both coming back this year. That must be exciting. Obviously you've had battles with Thor. You've had an amazing rivalry over the years with Kilishkovsky.
Yeah,
I think I was getting Liz to look at the head-to-heads between you two beforehand.
Yeah,
and you're 9-6 up against Kilishkovsky, but against Thor you're 9-1 down. So he's a bit of a problem when it comes to winning competitions. So
absolutely.
You know, I'm sure you've seen some of his training. How are you feeling in terms of your own training, and how are you feeling about going against some of your old rivals, plus these new amazing athletes that we've got now?
I mean, it's very exciting. It's a stacked field. In many ways, I feel I am stronger than I used to be. And I've also developed weaknesses that I didn't used to have. My shoulders aren't as mobile, so I can't use split jerks like I used to. I have to kind of lean back a little bit more in my pressing. I don't like that. That doesn't make me happy. No doubt my shoulders are much stronger than they used to be, but it's like I'm moving differently.
Do you know what? I'm not saying I'm as good as you, but it's like listening to myself, because, you know, I watch your old videos back, and I was really good at the axle when I was younger.
Yeah.
But now I'm shit at it because my shoulder mobility is so bad.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I could do all the stretching and mobility work, and it helps a lot. Without it, I don't think I could do it at all. But I cannot get my shoulders to the previous mobility. It's simply because they're damaged. I have bone on bone in my shoulders. I have floating stuff in there. My labrum is slightly torn, and chunks of it are floating around. I have bone spurs. So a mix of all these things. My shoulders just, I was kind of seized up to have chosen the range of motion in which they feel safe.
Yeah. I think it's part and parcel of being a professional athlete. You do, it's just wear and tear of pushing your body, but it's amazing how we adapt as well as we kind of.
It really is.
It's interesting to hear you kind of say you're stronger in some areas, weaker in others. How do you feel you are coming into this competition with the specific events that we've got? You know, you've got 5 events to look at. How's training been going? How are you feeling for each of them?
If I really believe this, if I can get because some days these events just feel phenomenal, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna set a world record. Some days my deadlift is shooting off the ground like a rocket speed. I'm like, I've never done that. Other days I'm like, have I ever deadlifted at all? It's like this new chapter in my life where earlier it was consistent, just consistent, regular progress. So now I have to kind of pick and choose. This is going to be the week of the Denny stones, where I do Denny stones better. Next week I'll do the deadlift better than before. Whereas before it was just like, this week I'm going to get everything a little bit better than the previous week, and everything would be kind of rising. So I've found that if in the Arnold, I really believe that if I could get my peak strength that I've reached in training for every event all to come together, I would win.
Okay.
That's the difficult part, making all those peaks in strength coming together at once. That's a challenge that's new to me. Trying to strategize around that
it's amazing. I think people that sort of sit back and watch, or people that train but they haven't competed at that very top level, they don't realize just because you've done something once doesn't mean it's automatically going to happen every time. You know, the amount of times you see a top level lifter fail the last stone in a series, and there'll be people at home saying, well, I can do that. Very, very different when you've done all these other things beforehand, and you know everything else that goes into it, the travel, the stress from every single event that you've done on top before. Being able to perform under pressure in a competition is a very different beast to just one event in your gym at your own pace.
Yeah. So I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that all those events are firing and ready to go to 100% like I've done in training. Just got to make sure I do it in show day. So
give us a little idea of what you have done in training. I saw recently a pretty big deadlift. I think it was 425 kilos.
Yes. So that was the heaviest deadlift I've done in training. I've never gone heavier in training, although I've done lighter and it's gone much faster. So it's like, that's another thing. It's like, I've never been a fast deadlifter, and I've always found that I could add 50 to 75 pounds above what I do in training, at least when I was younger. So I'll see this time if I, because I want to break 1,000. That's my goal.
What's your PB on the elephant bar?
970.
Okay, so anything over that, then we're looking at, and that should score good points based off what we've seen from athletes in the past, and the people you're up against. How is the axle going? Because that's something that is kind of new to a lot of the athletes. They used to have the axle all the time at the Arnolds.
Yeah,
they were in it for a long time. Now they've brought it back. How are you feeling on that?
That's going to be interesting. I think this year the repetitions are going to be pushed beyond what has been done before with that weight of an axle. I think to win it, we're going to need over 4 or 5 repetitions. I don't think that'll cut it. So I feel good to at least. I'm in it. I don't want to say anything, right? Because a lot of this is secret. But, axle has been coming along very well. I'm a little bit nervous that I don't have that split jerk quite ready. So I'm using a push press, which I've never really done in competition with axle. I've always done like a push jerk or a split jerk.
Yeah.
But it's been coming together. What makes me a little nervous is I've been developing a little sciatica in my back. So that flip and the jerk kind of makes me a little nervous. So if I can manage that sciatica, it should be a very good event for me. I'm looking forward to it, but we're going to need to push those repetitions higher than ever before. And I think I can do it. On a good day, I should be able to.
You said that your tips from kind of the Basque country has helped in terms of the stone lifting, and you're always a good stone lifter anyway. You've also got experience of these stones before. It's a little bit different this year, though, isn't it? It's not just the shouldering. You've got a few other. It's a stone press and a stone over a post to start with.
Yeah,
and then
all of those are good for me. The thing is, with a stone press, it's like. I was dealing with some frustrations throughout December, where it's like one day I would be getting it easy, then the next day I couldn't get it at all. Lo and behold, January I was starting to get consistent, and I got to a point where I was able to do high repetitions, and then the next week I would be slipping. And it's like stone pressing is just one of those things where if you could really just get the alignment right and get the practice, and it can go so easy, but one slip, one little overconfident just nudge that's a little too early can cost you the entire event, because then it just drains your energy.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very important to just be smooth and steady on that stone press and on that stone load, not rush them, make sure that they're locked in, because any kind of slip that will just zap energy for that stone shoulder.
Would you have a touch of the stones beforehand to try and figure out hand placements, or will you just wait till the day of the competition?
I'll definitely have a touch of the stones to kind of just get familiar with how they feel in my hands. I kind of find the inverse stones to be a little easier than an Atlas stone, at least for the lockout. I think because their diameter is a little less, because they're egg-shaped.
Yeah.
A little closer to the chest, you need a little bit more leg drive, but the balance is definitely easier than a regular Atlas stone. I've been pressing Atlas stone. Okay. I find that to be the hardest thing to press. So it should have a good carryover.
And then we've got the frame carry, which you've done before. We've seen you finish the frame. You're one of the few people that has finished it in competition. And although this year there's some good guys on the frame, to be fair.
Man, yeah.
And then we've got the Dinny Stone carry, which you're up in Scotland. You're there. You kindly shared the video of me doing it.
That was amazing. Yeah.
Thank you very much. But I'm looking forward to seeing you on that, because I think that's a good event for you.
Yeah. So my question was, when you grab it, do you have it on your fingertips, or do you like really wrench your hand on it?
I hook grip it. So
I hook grip it as well. So
I'm kind of locking the fingers in as hard as possible. So those first two fingers get really locked in tight. And I find it slips to start with, and then it stays.
Okay.
It's not like it's locked in like a normal, like I would on the frame, for instance.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah.
I have like a slight pull, but then it stays. The fingers kind of lock in strong.
Because some I hook grip it, but I have the pressure here.
Yeah.
But then others, I have the pressure in my fingertips, and I haven't been able to figure out where to really lock it in. So I'm trying to still playing around with that. Yeah,
I think it's just getting it right for you. Everyone's hands. I mean, your and my hands are probably similar size, but your grip's strong. It's two things. I mean, you've obviously got good experience of it now. You've been training it, but its grip strength is needed. But being able to move those stones with control is important.
Yeah,
the stones are harder than pins.
There's a lot of people the rolling pins, the plates are easier.
Yeah.
Interesting. So no, okay.
Just getting that balance on the heavier stone is key.
I see. Okay.
I think anyone that kind of has tried the nickel stones, which are a little bit easier and you can move a bit faster, there's a big difference between those and the Dinnies. You just kind of need to be patient with them.
I've definitely found in my training that jump, so I keep speaking pounds, but that jump from like 350 to over 400 pounds in that right hand is all the difference. Like 350, I feel like I could go on forever. And then when I cross that 400-pound barrier in the right hand, it's like some days it goes and I feel like I could hold it. The other days it just slips right out.
Yeah.
That's a nerve-wracking event, because it could be either a winner or just like a bust.
That's going to be an interesting one to watch, I think, for a lot of fans and like the athletes themselves, because it's not something we're used to seeing you all doing.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to predict some of the other events, but you clearly don't have any weaknesses with these 5 events, which must be a nice position to be in. And it's something that you've always done very well. You've come to competitions well prepared, and you might never be the best at anything, but you're always very consistent, and that's why at the end of the day, you're fighting for titles. Who do you see as the main opposition? You said if you get everything right, you feel like you can win.
Yeah.
I think you've proven that, before. And you've also proven that you can have time off and come back and win, because that's always a question mark, is what kind of shape is someone in?
Yeah.
But you had time off before you came back and won the Rogue Invitational, and you were fantastic there. So I think most people will expect you to be in good shape. I'm sure you're expecting to be in good shape yourself, but who are you looking at as the main oppositions?
I'd say right now Mitchell and also Thor. If Thor is in good, like as strong as he was in 2018, that's a difficult guy to beat. I still stand by. I think 2018 Thor was the strongest man to have ever lived. If that strength comes back, that's going to be tough to deal with, but not impossible. I still think I could get him in some events. Hooper, I think that's going to be interesting. I think Hooper's still in his young, pliable, kind of throw anything at him and he'll survive it phase, but I think that some things are going to start slowing down for him pretty soon, but you cannot count on that. So I got to just.
I think you and Hooper are
strength.
You're quite similar athletes in terms of your abilities. You both have that consistency. Maybe not like the exceptional event. Like Kiliashkovsky has just ungodly strength on certain events.
Yeah,
you watch him, but he has weaknesses as well.
Yeah.
Whereas you two are just reliably good on everything.
Yeah. I would say Mitchell's foot speed on the yoke is just mind-blowing.
Crazy.
But I know that I have some events that I could beat him on as well. So not too worried about that. But if his grip has come a long way, it's going to be tough to beat him on that frame, I think.
I think it's going to be just an insane competition. I think for fans watching, it's going to be amazing. For you guys competing, I've said this to everyone, but like one mistake is going to cost someone huge points.
Yeah. Oh man, it really is going to come down to who has the smoothest show with no mistakes.
I'll be honest. What's been interesting, I've spoken to a lot of guys that compete at the Arnolds now. Very few people are talking about Tom Stoltman, and I don't know if that's just because Tom hasn't done well at the Arnolds before compared to what he does in other shows. Because obviously, World's Strongest Man, I think the last 4 years he's been top 2. Yeah, for 4 years in a row. So he's clearly one of the best guys in the world with certain particular events. And I'm watching him, and he's looking good. I've got to say, he's looking good.
Yeah, I think both Tom and Evan Singleton are like kind of wild cards.
Yeah.
On the right day, they could crush the entire competition, but they're not consistent. So, like, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet on them. But they have what it takes to win the show for sure.
Certainly a good outside bet if you wanted to put some money on that.
So I'm definitely have my eyes on them. I believe they have what it takes to win, but they've just shown that over time, like they have some rock star competitions, and then you just look at them and what happened?
Yeah,
why aren't you showing up for this one? But then the other one, you're like a totally two different athletes. That's what I see both those guys.
Do you find it hard to compete with athletes like that, or do you just focus on your own performance?
I don't find it hard because I just wait and watch for like the one mistake they make and then try to capitalize on that.
I've seen the amount of times that Martins is at a competition and he's not winning, but he's there. You're like kind of on their shoulder, just creeping up and up and up and consistently putting that pressure on people. Is that always the game plan?
That typically is. I stay calm and just let them get their energy out and then take my moment when I see it.
You seem to be very methodical in terms of like you've planned what you expect out of yourself beforehand, rather than sort of, I guess some people are just reacting to what's happening. You seem to have a strategy in terms of what you need to do on each event. For
sure. I definitely try to go in with that mindset of, okay, I know what I can do. Here's where I'm going to put my energy. Here's where I'm going to pull it back. And then I like to typically ramp up and do better and better as the show goes on. If things go to plan, lately it's going to be interesting because I don't think my body's reacting like I'm used to it reacting in other shows.
Sure.
Well, we'll see. It's one of those things where I'm just like knocking on wood because I feel so good, so strong right now.
You look fantastic, and
I say, my fingers that it stays that way.
Well, you like just looking at you now, your body looks in great shape. And I remember talking to you at the Rogue Invitational, and you looked massive. I'd never
Yeah,
seen you so big, but you
mm,
look bad for you. It was
it
probably
didn't
the
feel
worst
good.
I've seen
Yeah,
you. Whereas now you look a little bit smaller but solid.
yeah.
What's your body weight right now?
It's actually just about the same as it was at the Rogue Invitational. I just think it's recomped, but around like 340 pounds.
Okay, I think you were about 160 kilos at Rogues, probably a little bit heavier.
It's possible. I don't quite remember. I know that the heaviest I've ever been was 2019 World's Strongest Man, where I was like 165.
Okay,
But
it's big for a
but
former under 105.
but the difference was back then, you know, I was starting to hurt, but I was not hurting so much that it slowed my training down. I still had high volume in my training. I was able to get my work capacity in through like high repetitions in squats, high repetitions in stones, deadlifts, pressing. I was able to push myself. For that Rogue, I had to pull way back. So it's like if I pushed higher repetitions, I started hurting more and more. So I started doing less training, having longer rest periods, and I didn't know how to handle this. Lately, I found okay, I'm gonna do less intense training, maybe lower volumes, but I'm gonna get my work capacity through jujitsu, through running, through other forms of through cardio, and I think that that's helping me in this new chapter of my body.
Have you always found it important to keep on top of that conditioning side of things?
It is so important because, as you guys saw in Rogue in 2022, usually conditioning is my strong suit. Usually, I'm able to be one of the top guys in a carry for max distance or a medley that might tax other people. I could carry through and still have energy to spare. But I just hit a wall that show, and that was kind of like my wake up call. Like, hey, I need to completely go back to the drawing board and think this all through again and change how I'm doing this.
I'm excited to watch you compete because you are, without question, one of the most consistent performers. You know, if Martins turns up in shape, you know he's going to be hard to beat, which is challenging for everyone else. They know you're going to be one of the favorites. And like you say, you know, Thor in great shape. Thor in 2018 shape is unbelievable. Not unbeatable, but incredible. And I think if he's in that kind of shape, if you're in this kind of shape, if Tom Stoltman's in shape, Mitch Hooper, it's just going to be an exciting show. It
Sure,
can't not be. What's the goals after the Arnolds? I know you're not doing the Arnolds UK. You want to just focus on this one. Are you going to be doing World's Strongest Man this year? And have you got any other goals for later in the year?
World's Strongest Man, and then definitely the Rogue. Brian Shaw, just like I got to text him back. He just texted me, inviting me to his show. But I had plans to do travel, see family around that time. So I don't know. I want to do Brian Shaw's show because I think what he has going on is fantastic. But also my body's the boss, so I know what I need in terms of rest and recovery, and not doing too many shows because every show has takes a toll right now.
Yeah, you every time you compete, you just see you give everything, and
Yeah.
you are quiet on social media in terms of your training. You don't post an awful lot of stuff out there. I know you've got your own private kind of stuff that you do, you've done on YouTube before, but you tend to keep your training quite quiet. I've been asking everyone that comes on, if you had to give people advice for just 5 exercises to be a great strongman, what would they be and why?
Oh, like okay, so 5 exercises in terms of events or accessories?
Just gym.
Gym, so barbell stuff.
Yeah, barbell
Okay.
stuff. Not like not strongman specific.
I would say deadlift, of course, front squat, especially a front squat with a pause. So just teaching yourself to control that squat. I think that carries over to overhead pressing, to stones, to tire flips, to yoke carries. It's just fucking everything.
Yeah.
A barbell push jerk or split jerk. Just learn how to be explosive with a barbell, or even I would just say clean and jerk, because you need to teach yourself powerful hip extension. Let's see. I would say like a Zercher carry. So you teach yourself to lock your hips in an extended position, because it's not just about being able to snap your hips in through. A lot of strongman is being able to hold an extended hip position statically, which very few other sports teach.
Yeah.
And then I would think either a row or a Romanian deadlift. I know it's kind of the same thing as a deadlift, but I think the controlling aspect is what people miss in a Romanian deadlift. I never wear a belt. I always pause. I always go slow. So teaching yourself to be able to hold a hinged position statically is very important as well. So I would say deadlift is more for the explosive strength, just be able to move heavyweight. Romanian is learning to be tense and hold a hinged position and be able to stabilize there.
It's really interesting listening to you talking about that, especially like the hip power, you know, and the different movements that you select. You're a little bit different to a lot of the other athletes, which is really interesting to hear your sort of philosophy. So just to kind of push you a bit more, just for people watching, if they're interested, what do you focus on? Because I know from watching a lot of your training, you do a lot more repetition work.
Yeah.
And I've always thought, particularly for strongman, repetition work is very beneficial, especially when it comes to squatting, those type of movements, because we don't really ever squat for max, but we do truck pulls, we do moving with heavy events, we do squat for reps, we do overheads for reps. You know, everything kind of that accumulative fatigue kind of catches up with people if they haven't got that ability to get endurance in the legs. So I just wondered what your sort of philosophy was, because I know we all have deadlift for max, but in terms of some of those other movements, do you do a lot more repetition work?
Absolutely. I think strength isn't just about that one rep max, but also showing that you can move a ton of weight in a short time period. Because like so, you know, like you were saying, like we have deadlift for max, but then it shows like how many max events are there really going to be? Most of those events are either going to be speed or some kind of work, like showing strength over work capacity event. So it's important to have both. It just you cannot be a good strongman without having that work capacity, especially because strongman, out of all the strength disciplines, also has the most events in a show. So you need to be able to handle moving heavyweight over and over and over again, no matter how tired you are, because you know powerlifting is over after 3 events and just one max repetition of each. But here we're moving not just weights for reps, but heavy weights for reps, and then expected to do another event, and then maybe even a max lift. So we need to be able to adapt to performing high reps, speed, and max weight.
It's, absolutely perfect. I could talk to you about coaching all day long, but I promised you I wouldn't keep you too long for today. I'm sure you've still got some
it's fun. I love it.
yeah, you've got some big training sessions still to come. Any more real heavy sessions before the Arnolds?
Absolutely. I have some things I need to lock in before showtime. Now it's a difficult part because I'm trying to figure out how many accessories to do, how much more should I push, how much should I pull back. It's there's no, I say this with confidence. I don't think there's a perfect program. I write my own programming and I would follow maybe 80% of it, especially the closer I get to a show, it comes down to feeling. So if I'm not recovering, I'm definitely gonna be pulling back, but this is where I'm faced with, like, how much do I push? How much do I pull back? So
I think that's a great point as well that you made there. I mean, you coach people, I coach people, and as an athlete, sometimes you've got to take that decision yourself when you're coming close to a competition. I've always said to people, the most important thing is to get to the competition.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you're getting to this stage, what, we 3 weeks out from the Arnold, something like that?
Yeah.
And it's a dangerous time because you need to be going heavy at this point. Yeah. But if you're not feeling it on that particular day, just because it says you've got to do something on program doesn't mean you have to do it.
Absolutely.
You need to make that smart decision. And, you know, and I think understanding the difference between being a wimp and being smart is really important. But,
for sure.
Yeah. No, I think you're one of the smartest athletes out there. I think most people know that, and you know it's proven with your results, because you're not a freak. You're not like 6'10" and 400 plus pounds. You're more relatable in terms of your size, and maybe that's why you can't compete as much as, say, a Thor could, or someone Brian Shaw size. But you've kind of had an amazing career. You got 3 comps to focus on this year. Just because the fans want you competing, what's happening after that? Is it just you can only focus on this year, and then you're done with strongman, or you just want to get this year and then see how you feel?
I'm really facing that decision because I want to give strength unknown my all. That's definitely becoming one of my biggest passions. I also am loving jiu-jitsu, And I've gotten to a point where I actually believe I could be competitive with it, and I want to compete in jiu-jitsu. I want to show the world that strongmen can be competitive in a combat sport like that. So that would be fun. That would be fun to prove the world that strength belongs in jiu-jitsu as well.
So when are we gonna get you in the UFC fighting like some of these other guys?
I don't think the UFC, but jiu-jitsu. And here's my reasoning. I think that striking is definitely better suited for younger people because you need that plasticity. You need to be reactive, fast. Jiu-jitsu is more, could be static, slower, more patient, more isometric strength, which can continue growing as you're older. And I was talking to Gordon Ryan personally about this. Like, do you think that someone in my age could do this? And he was saying, not striking, but jiu-jitsu, yes. Because isometric strength and just static strength can keep growing for a long time, but your speed and your ability to be able to strike and take strikes might be decreasing in this age.
How long have you been doing jiu-jitsu for?
So right now, a little less than a year, but I've also done wrestling in high school, and I did like 1 year of jiu-jitsu in my very early 20s. So grappling in all maybe 5 years, but spread out throughout my entire life. So every time I'm kind of starting fresh and new.
Do you find your strength is beneficial? Because I did a little bit of grappling a few years back, and at first my strength was a disadvantage.
Yeah,
because I didn't know what I was doing, and I was just kind of using my muscles and draining myself extremely quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas when I learned a bit of technique, then it became more of an advantage.
Absolutely.
And someone of your strength level, there must be benefits to being as strong, and you're pretty flexible. I know you earlier, you said you've lost a bit of that mobility, but you're still pretty flexible for a man of your size.
I am, and oddly enough, I'm more flexible than a lot of the smaller people I roll with.
Wow.
Because like I get into Americana and I could put my arm all the way back and I'm not tapping out. So like I have good, especially with my left arm, freakish rotational mobility. I would say like because I have that wrestling background, I was able to quickly adapt to jiu-jitsu and be able to use my strength and know how to use it. The very first few months, I noticed I had like a 90, just like in strongman, a 90-second time limit. After 90 seconds, it was like, boom, shut down. Yeah. So I felt very competent in those 90 seconds. Like I felt nothing could really touch me. In under 90 seconds, I felt very strong. But then once I ran out, I was useless. But it's cool that yeah, after a few months, I started learning. My endurance got a lot better. I also started learning how to use my weight, not just my strength, but my weight as an advantage, which I used to not think in those terms. Like I didn't think of myself as a heavy guy, just strong, but actually putting my weight in strategic places, finding where to rest, finding when to explode. And now I find that I could push for like 5 minutes. And
you must be a very heavy guy as well compared to.
Yeah, because I'm coming from the strongman world, so I'm like, I'm not a heavy guy.
We kind of feel small around 300 pounds in strongman.
Yeah, right.
But in the real world, that's still massive.
Yeah, in jiu-jitsu, I am way heavier than anyone. So it's kind of like reframing like, wait, I am a heavy guy. I forget this sometimes.
That's great, though, that you've got this huge frame, and in your head, you're just this small kind of, talented. I think sometimes the smaller guys are technically more proficient as well. So yeah, with that mentality, it must be great. Have you done any competitions in jiu-jitsu? Is this something long term?
I have not yet. I want to finish the strongman competitions and then do jiu-jitsu because I don't want to get hurt in jiu-jitsu while I'm, the strongman's still my bread and butter, so I can't afford to get hurt in a jiu-jitsu competition.
Well, as much as I would kind of be disappointed to not see you doing strongman, I'm kind of oddly fascinated to watch this journey and see how it goes and see how good you can get in a different discipline, because I know you've got the work ethic. Martins, thank you very, very much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks at the Arnolds. I know lots of fans are excited to see you back competing. So, yeah, make sure if you get to the Arnolds, go and cheer this man because he's one of the best. And big year ahead to show, these new boys you're still about. Martins, thank you very much, buddy. Take care.
Thank you so much, Laz. Thank you for having me on. It was an honor and a pleasure.